right infrastructure, seem to have the right coaching staff. We've got a
the right ambition,
set piece guy. Yeah, ambition, all the players. So what could go wrong? That's
Of course, we've got all the media out and the Enoch Outlaw that have been saying back your manager, back your manager.
Yeah, they're redundant now.
Online at the moment. Now, what they're doing is we're spending money. We've got players in early, and now they're saying, "Well, you didn't buy the player that I wanted to buy."
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you spend an extra 10 million on Bastoni, or why have we got for a loan deal on Nengle, and all of that sort of shit. So all of those people that are so scared of just saying, "Well, hold on a minute, I think we've sort of jumped the gun here, and we've possibly got this a little bit wrong." I mean, they're not going to.
They won't admit that, Jay, because from all the updates and stuff that I see, they're actually kind of saying, "Well, he's just doing what I wanted." It's been 20 years. Like I've been calling it for 20 years. So they go one good transfer window doesn't make up for the last 20 years. But then last summer when we thought it was a good transfer window, it was the same statement. One good transfer window doesn't make up. And the only reason that they then turn around and change their decision is because of, subsequently in hindsight, well, it didn't start that well. So therefore, actually, the transfer window wasn't as good. So the reflection is like afterwards is like, well, how did we perform? If we performed shit, like in the first few months, and actually it was a shit transfer window and the manager wasn't back. But if we performed well, then obviously it was a good transfer window and the manager was backed. But there's no kudos attached to that because that's what they should be doing. And it's been 20 years since we've had full support for the manager and we've not won anything. So fuck them. So there's never going to be any. They're never ever going to admit that actually that there might have been a strategy behind.
No, because it's very easy for them just to sit there and say it rather than actually go in and buy Tottenham Hotspur, run the club successfully, build the infrastructure that's required, and get to this point when you're battling against other clubs that are sports washing and able to do whatever they want. I mean, you just have to look at what's happening in West London at the moment. They can't get players over the through the door because they don't have any money left, do they?
But this is the thing. They were linked, weren't they? They were linked to. So when we were linked with Bastoni, and it didn't happen, and then I think we got Longley as a loan.
Yep.
The outrage. Fucking hell, Longley as a loan. Chelsea are buying 3 top centre backs. One of those was Ake, who stayed at Man City. Yep. One of them is Kimpembe, who's shit. And and the other one is Koulibaly. I'm not sure if that's actually happened yet.
Yeah, it has. He's playing for them now.
Okay, well, that worked out well for them the other day against Arsenal, didn't it?
Well, exactly. Yeah, but Koulibaly, the biggest problem with him is he's 31, plays 20 games a season, and they put him on a 5-year contract? Oof. So he's on like 300 grand a week. So I think they've just blown all their budget on Koulibaly.
And they were after that. They were after that. What's his name? The other guy. Kunde.
He's at Barcelona.
And they, and he's at Barcelona. They were saying that they did all this, the same stuff as Arsenal. Did all the reveal pictures with him in the Chelsea kit and all that bollocks. Oh yeah, he's coming to Chelsea. All that.
Exactly.
And they, as you say, they're not in the same position as they were.
Because Roma was actually propping them up 900 grand a week for 19 years. So when you've got that kind of buffer, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
The worst take, Andy, is the fact that the agenda is obviously Levy never spends money. This is all going to be a mirage and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And they've said, well, if we sell all these players, he won't have spent a penny. That's exactly what what we expected to happen, and all this kind of stuff. So it's you're never going to be able to please them all. There's agendas.
Well, yeah, I mean, when they've got this thing in their head that Levy doesn't spend money, one, they're incorrect, and also, they're just putting a label on Levy saying you're tight, which has connotations itself, which are quite right. And I just think that they're just not thinking straight. They're just, we go on about this a lot, confirmation bias and what have you. And that's exactly what it is. They just want to believe their story, and regardless of whatever happens, they're always going to fit it in to make it work for them. So
if you think, sorry, Joe.
Celso, we've spent big money on those two players combined, probably near on 80 million quid, if not a touch more. And they've been utter shite. The recruitment has been run at the club for a long time, and hopefully this is the summer where things will start to sort of correct itself, and we can properly move forwards.
Yeah. I love the way you're saying that, Jamie. Just kind of laid out on your chaise longue, just saying we just got to move forward. It's almost like you're controlling the whole of Tottenham Hotspur from your settee there.
I just sent Levy a message saying, spend some money, you type.
Daniel Levy's going to turn up shortly with some grapes and feed them to him.
I think Lee's point.
I'm going to have Nivea buy me in a minute and feed me some grapes like that.
That's just your fantasy, mate. That's not even that is probably something that you've probably dreamed of for quite a while. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually in the next room, impatiently waiting for you to finish, get off the pod, so that he can fulfill your fantasy for you. But I just want to go back to Lee's point about the. I just want to go back to Lee's point about the money, and I have seen I have seen people tweeting about that, but ultimately you can only have and would only want so many people in a squad, and the fact that people are moaning about, like, I've seen people say I don't want to know about net spend, and no one's talking about net spend. You know what I mean? That's your debate, that's your argument. That all we're interested in at the minute is the players that we're bringing in. And in the past, where the club was criticised in the past was that they would have a one in, one out approach, or get rid of the players first to create space for players to come in.
Yeah.
And if people are not seeing that, we're just saying, right, get the players in, and then the other players, that are not in the plans, they need to make their own arrangements. They kept 4 players at home for the tour. They're very clear about those players that they don't, they won't be figuring in the club's plans this season. Troy Parrott and Harvey White trained with the club, with the squad pre-season, but didn't go to Rangers. And Parrott, although he signed an extension today, went out on loan to Preston. So it feels like there's a real clear plan for the players and a direction that the club and the squad are going in. And it's up to Ndombele, Lo Celso, Winks. Who was the other one? Was it just Bergwijn? I can't remember who the other one was, but there was 4 of them, wasn't there?
Yeah,
and it's up to them. It's up to them to make their own arrangements.
Yeah, it is.
Bergwijn's gone. Winks will probably maybe included in some kind of deal if we get someone domestically. It looks like Tanganga. There's lots of talk of him going. So there's a focus and a direction, and net spend in this instance, net spend shouldn't be like something to throw at the club as, or a bat to beat them with, a stick to beat them, because it's kind of just a.
Well, I think as Jay said earlier about the fact that we had such bad recruitment for years is really the stick that they should be beating the club with, because I think Levy's involvement, whatever Hitchin was doing, I've got no idea what he was doing. But obviously Hitchin's gone now. Levy's taken a step back, and Paratici and Conte are saying this is what we have to do. And he seems to be letting them do it. So it seems so obvious, but then in hindsight, these things are very easy, aren't they? They can.
But when you think of our sort of previous sort of transfer policies, obviously things have changed this summer, and we're signing players in, days after the transfer window opened. But it was almost like the previous sort of transfer policy was, we're going to sell some players, but we're going to pretend that we want to keep them, just to try and haggle out the best price, and let's keep our cards close to our chest. And now what we're doing is we've identified, it's clear to the entire world which players we don't want anymore. They didn't go on the pre-season tour, whereas before it was almost like, let's pretend that we want this player to extract the best price.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason for that is that if you've got Levy involved, he's a risk-averse guy, so he's not going to take the risks that Conte wants to take, and he's now been forced to take those risks because that's just not how Conte wants to do it.
It's a massive change to the club, massive.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, it is massive. Yeah,
and it is working on two levels. Like, I mean, for example, that players that Conte wants, he's by and large seems to be getting, and then there's also a club recruitment drive because there's been a few comments, isn't there, about Jed Spence and that this wasn't a buy that Conte wanted, but he's greenlit the deal. I mean, he's not going to take it. He's not going to accept a player that he doesn't want. And the very same thing was with Kulusevski and Bentancur. Anyway, that was Paratici kind of club buy, and they've done pretty damn well. So I think there's going to be that kind of strategy. Like, he might say, well, I really want that player. If you can just get me that and that, then okay, the club is looking at the future, and these are really good prospects. But also saying what he's saying, it is not then a ton of pressure on Jed Spence's shoulders.
No, that's right. Exactly. I think he has been quite clever with that because
I disagree. Sorry, I disagree. Yeah, okay. I do.
Which part do you disagree with?
I disagree about the pressure because of the comment and because of the fact that fans have already picked up on it and will look at that as an opportunity to be critical. If Spence either isn't played regularly or doesn't perform well, then they'll say, well, it wasn't a Conte buy. This is the problem with, Levy meddling with the club. When will he learn? So I disagree. I think that it would have been better. I know he's very transparent and he likes to, let everyone know where he's coming from. But to kind of give that focus means that there's too much focus, I think, on Spence and sets him up for a fall if things don't work out, rather than if it's just a Paratici signing that doesn't work out.
Yeah,
then no one looks at any different.
Particularly disagreeing with that point of view either, really, to be fair. I just think that it probably just means that he can gradually bring him in rather than kind of just chuck him in straight away. Then if it doesn't work, then everyone's on his back. Whereas now they can sort of ease him in a bit. And but to be fair, that the end of that Rangers game when he came on, I thought he looked electric. I thought he looked great, and so
he's quite a unit, isn't he? So yeah.
What's your take on that? What the guys have been talking about there about Spence?
Is that aimed at Jase?
Yeah, Jason. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part of the process has been early doors, so we're reaping the benefits of that right now, aren't we? In the old days, we get one maybe good signing, which is probably the last great signing was Van der Vaart, to be honest with you, and everybody else has been pretty mediocre. But we've got it all at once, and we've still got 20 to 30 days of the transfer window left.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
we're just not used to. We're just not used to it, are we? No. And these guys are bedding in early doors as well. They're getting on the tour. They're getting experience. They're getting Conte pre-season, which is renowned for being one of the best. Around the world.
So, Jason, are we having any
when it comes
kind
August the 6th?
Sorry, I was going to ask actually. Are we having any kind of behind closed door games this summer? Have you heard that or?
I'm not aware of any.
No.
Just the ones that have been earmarked, but we're running out of time anyway, aren't we? We've only got a couple of weeks left until the season starts.
Exactly. So, I just wondered whether he was trying to try out, his ideas and tactics on another team, or whether he's just playing 11 against 11, in kind of training games. Because I think he's renowned, isn't he, for his pattern teaching. So he's putting players on parts of the pitch and saying you've got to be there. So when he's there, and Steve probably knows more about this as a coach. But so I just wondered, what they are doing behind closed doors to get his methods across.